Revelations out of Senate estimates yesterday regarding GetUp's claims that the Australian Electoral Commission had found it to be independent and non-partisan are misleading and false. The Commissioner confirmed that such rulings are outside the purview of the AEC, which has never adjudicated on subjects of this kind and never would. So what's the real truth when it comes to GetUp's claims of independence, and how does it get on and get around saying that the Electoral Commission has confirmed that it is independent when made very clear last night in estimate that's not the case? Someone who has spent a lot of time and effort pursuing the truth when it comes to GetUp is former Cabinet Minister and Senate Leader, Senator Eric Abetz, who joins me now live from Parliament House in Canberra. Senator, thanks very much for your time. One of the calling cards of GetUp is its so-called independence, and it says that it's actually been found to be independent by the AEC, the Australian Electoral Commission, but you say that's not correct.
The organisation GetUp has claimed now on a number of occasions that the AEC has declared them to be, in inverted commas, independent. That simply is not correct. I got that answer from the Commissioner, the Australian Electoral Commissioner, in April this year, and again last night, that the AEC does not involve itself in those sort of decisions. And therefore, for an organisation like GetUp, which claims to be an honest broker in democracy, to verbal and misquote or say a falsehood, in fact, about what the Australian Electoral Commissioner said is very serious stuff indeed. The Australian Electoral Commission has to be independent, is independent. It's an independent statutory authority. It's clothed with a lot of integrity. So when you invoke its name, you intend to clothe yourself then with the same sort of integrity. But last night, the Electoral Commissioner made very clear that GetUp's claims, and might I add, these are claims to a parliamentary committee, which ought be like giving evidence under oath, where they said the AEC ruled in GetUp's favour as recently as February this year, specifically finding GetUp campaigns are 100% issues-based. Untrue. The Electoral Commissioner confirmed they have done no such thing. Yet this is what GetUp says to the media, to the public, and they even have the audacity to say this to a parliamentary committee. So a lot of people are getting sucked in by GetUp with their untruths. It's very concerning.
And I think, you correct me if I'm wrong, Senator, but the origins of this matter, the matter you talk about from February this year, go back a little while, where the Australian Electoral Commission decreed that GetUp was in fact an associated entity linked to the left side of politics. GetUp appealed that decision. When the Australian Electoral Commission heard their appeal and accepted their appeal, it accepted the appeal that they were not an associated entity, but that did not necessarily follow that they then had declared them to be independent. That's another thing. It's almost as though they couldn't prove, the AEC, the relevant nexus on the arguments for associated entity. Now, that's something I understand the Coalition will continue to pursue, and the Joint Standing Committee on Electoral Matters, as it always does, will have an inquiry into the most recent federal election. And, you know, comments from Nicole Flint and others about the behaviour of GetUp, the links GetUp had to the Labor Party and to the Greens, the coordinated campaigning against particular Liberal Party Conservative MPs. This will be a real feature of the inquiry, won't it?
I think the Joint Standing Committee on Electoral Matters will have a very close look at GetUp's campaign, especially when you have submissions such as Nicole Flint has lodged, submissions which tell chapter and verse of shocking behaviour, misogynist behaviour, sexist behaviour, intimidatory behaviour, just completely unacceptable behaviour. That needs to be looked at. But GetUp's involvement in those despicable advertisements against Tony Abbott, against Josh Frydenberg, both of which they had to withdraw, clearly not issues-based campaigns, and yet, once again, that is what GetUp is trying to claim in their submission to this committee, that the Electoral Commissioner said that all their campaigns are 100% issues-based. False, incorrect, misleading, And really, it is time for Paul Oosting to consider his position. I would have thought that the game ought to be up after the last election, but he's now doubled down in this submission to the Parliament, which is so dishonest, it's misleading, it's untrue. One wonders where he gets off with these things, and it's a wake-up call to every Australian who ever thought GetUp might have been a positive in the body politic of Australia. Can I tell you, it's an absolute negative, and we now have it from the Australian Electoral Commissioner that GetUp is misquoting them, saying things about the AEC which the AEC has never said.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether the other media class around the country actually put these falsehoods to GetUp and ask them the questions that you've asked the AEC overnight. I watched Paul Oosting at the Press Club, the National Press Club, a few days ago. To me, he looked like a man fighting for his political life. They promised to campaign hard and spend millions, which they did, against 6 sitting Liberal MPs to throw them out of office. They only managed one, and that was Tony Abbott. Do you think Australians are waking up to GetUp?
I think people are waking up to GetUp. They don't like their campaigns. They nearly got away with it in 2016. They ran some despicable campaigns, including in my home state of Tasmania in the seat of Bass, a seat which we happened to win back, by the way, at the last election. And I think a lot of people are awake up to the fact that GetUp's campaigns are nearly always shrouded and clothed in dishonesty, misrepresentation, and are usually very, very personal. And that was the advertisement they developed against Josh Frydenberg. They developed it against Tony Abbott, Peter Dutton, Nicole Flint. It is all very nasty personal stuff. They can't stick to the issues. And I think people are saying enough of GetUp. Let's move on.
Well done in your pursuit of the detail, Senator, because from now on in, out of the words of the AEC Commissioner, GetUp can no longer claim to be neither issues-based nor independent. Thanks very much for your time tonight.
Always a pleasure.